Hello, welcome back to another video. Today's video is a recipe for a chocolate cake with a salted caramel cover and peanuts on top. So you are going to need 300 grams of sugar for the cake, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 150 grams of flour. I'm using gluten-free, the same I always use. You will also need 7 medium to large eggs, 300 grams of cooking chocolate or baking chocolate, and 300 grams of butter. I'm using salted, but you can use unsalted if you like. I just think this tastes better. Start by measuring out the ingredients that you are going to be needing, especially the chocolate and the butter, because we're going to be melting those over, boiling water. I don't know what that's called right now, but we're going to be doing that. So you're going to be measuring out the chocolate and the butter into a bowl. That can go over the pan that you're using to melt those two together. I recommend you cut the butter and the chocolate into small portions because it will make it easier to melt once it's on the stove top. I started off trying to just break the chocolate into the little tiny squares that it comes in, but it started hurting my hands, so I ended up picking up a knife and a board, and I cut them really roughly. It doesn't really need to be pretty because it's all going to be melted anyway. The idea is just that it melts a lot quicker if it's all broken down, and we just wanted to move it along a little bit. While that's melting, we're going to start shelling peanuts to use for our topping. You're going to need 40 grams, and I'm using normal peanuts and shelling them myself and using a nutcracker to do it, just to give me a little hand and make my hands less sore. When your chocolate is melted, you can take it off the stovetop. Be careful because it will be quite hot. And give it a good mixing so you can incorporate everything together and make sure that all the small final chunks of butter and chocolate are all melted through. After that, transfer this mixture into a bigger bowl so you can incorporate the rest of the ingredients and have more room, unless you're already using a big bowl, and in that case, you can leave it as is. The first thing we add to our chocolate mixture is the eggs. You are going to be adding one by one, and you're going to be mixing with an electric hand mixer or a stand mixer between each egg. So you put in an egg, you mix, new egg, mix, until all the eggs are in, and then we go on to the next step. Now is a good time to preheat your oven. You're going to want it at 180 degrees Celsius. After that, in a separate bowl, you're going to be mixing together the flour, the sugar, and the baking powder and whisking them together before you add them to the other mixture. Pour your dry ingredients into your wet ingredient mix, and then using a whisk it all together and mix it well until it's very well combined. Now it's time to grease a pan and turn your batter into cake. I'm using a 25 centimeter diameter pan, and I'm using butter to do the greasing. You can also use a 28 centimeter round pan, which I think would be a lot better. It would cook faster, but I didn't have that one. So use whatever you have at home, but make sure that you are aware that different size pans will mean different cooking times. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Make sure you tap out all of the air bubbles, and then you can cook your cake for 30-45 minutes. Sometimes it takes almost an hour. So it depends on your oven, depends on your cake pan. So just not under half an hour for sure, until you poke it and the toothpick comes out clean. Now you're going to start working on your caramel topper thing. You're going to need 150 grams of brown sugar. You're also going to be needing 30 grams of butter, 2 tablespoons of water, 300 milliliters of cream, and sea salt to taste. I like it very salty, so I use a lot, but you can do it to however you prefer. Now in a deep set frying pan, you're going to mix together your sugar, water, and butter, and you're going to want to mix that until it starts getting a lighter shade of beige, and then you're going to add your cream. Mix that all together really well, and then you're going to add some salt. And I suggest that you add little bits of salt at different intervals, because you can start tasting it and see how it tastes, and then add more as you wish to, because if you add too much at once, you can't make it unsalted. And then you're going to leave that in a medium heat, and you're going to mix, and you're going to mix, and you're going to mix, and you're going to wait until it becomes a caramel sauce. So it takes about half an hour, something around those lines. Don't let it burn. Make sure you keep mixing. It's a little bit tedious, but very, very worth the whole time that you're doing it. When that's done, pour it into a clean bowl and wait for it to cool down a little bit before you pour it over the cake. Also, crush your peanuts, because that's going to make it really much, much better. When your cake is done, you are going to remove it out of the oven, and you're going to transfer it onto a plate pretty much straight away while it's still warm. And the way I do it is I place the plate upside down on top of the cake pan, and then I just flip it, and it normally comes out clean and there's no cake left behind. Then you're going to wait for your cake to cool, and once it does, you can pour the caramel over top and sprinkle over the peanuts, and you're done. You can eat it. It's the most delicious cake I've ever made, I think, and this is the finished product. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to leave it a like, a comment, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. For extra footage, especially recipes, you can become a member on Patreon, where you'll also get early access, and you'll be supporting me and helping me out. I will leave instructions for the cake down below. Let me know if you make it and send me pictures. I'd love to see them. But that is everything for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!